When I sit and I look back at the evaluations that I get after each and every speech, there's one thing that stands out that I don't think I have that much area of improvement on, and that is not being afraid when you get up here. That is the one thing that I can do right of all the things that I do wrong in the speeches that you guys don't catch. So I thought about how could I take the things that I feel like I've learned from all of you and give you something back. And that was for me to teach you how to not be afraid when you get up here. And these steps will work for anybody. I don't care if you've been doing this for 20 years or if you're still in that stage of fear when you get up or you're afraid to talk about certain topics. This will work for everyone. What I want to talk to you about is over the years, I've also had to train in the military. I've had to train in the civilian world, and I've been able to pick up a few things. And in all the speech books, it all basically boils down to what I like to call the ABCs. First thing we're going to talk about is aiming point. Second thing we're going to talk about is body movement. The third thing we're going to talk about is how to be calm, cool, and collective. And the fourth thing we're going to talk about is how to stay positive, which I have a great story about that from this morning. First thing is aiming point. A lot of people are afraid to make eye contact when they get up here. And eye contact is important in a speech. It engages everyone in the room. It gets people to buy in. And when you catch people not paying attention, you don't have an eraser up here, so you can't throw it like you were in elementary school. But you can definitely take a look at people and get them back involved into your speech. Now, believe it or not, when I'm making eye contact in a room, very rarely am I looking at a person's face. So I look at what a person's wearing, and I look at the easiest object that I can focus on without having to look on their face, especially if I'm particularly nervous about a topic that I'm talking about that day. So if I'm looking at Jerry Rose, I might look at his American flag on his lapel. If I'm looking at John Orsini, I might look at his shoulder. It appears to him that I'm looking right at him, but I'm not. And I'm able to go ahead and talk as well as get my words out, but give him the appearance that I'm looking at him. If I want to address an area of the room, I'll look at an aiming point on the wall just above the middle person's head. Now everyone at that table thinks that I'm looking directly at him. Body movement. This is probably my biggest area of improvement that I need in a speech. One of the reasons why I wrote this speech is to remind me of these things. I have a tendency, since I've been doing these speeches, to do hand claps, put my hands together, just because that is natural for me to do. I feel like if my hands are touching, then it won't be in my pockets. And that's a better way to go than to have your hands in your pockets doing a speech. One thing I'm also very conscious of is not doing the duck in the shooting gallery. Some people get up here and out of nervousness to going back and forth. Ding, ding, and you get the duck in the shooting gallery. Being calm, cool, and collective. I try to find a song on the radio or just have a conversation with my son in the morning as I'm taking him to school before this, just to make sure that I'm in the right frame of mind when I'm going to do a speech. I usually listen to Eye of the Tiger. Come in here and get pumped up. But you definitely want to look for a song that's in your repertoire of listening that is going to be appropriate for the type of speech that you're giving that day. Music soothes the soul. It helps us. We all got songs that we associate particular emotions to. We all have songs that we associate particular memories, I would say, that may remind us of what we're talking about in our speeches, and that's something that I use to calm me down. The other thing I use to calm me down before I do a speech is that morning, more than any, I'm a tea drinker, but I definitely make sure I have a cup of tea in that morning. Don't do coffee because I don't want the caffeine and the jitters and to end up in the shooting gallery. But the tea definitely helps me to relax. I usually do either green tea or tea with lemon, but everyone has that drink that they have in the morning or that particular routine that they have in the morning when they know they have something important that seems to calm you down. So that's another thing that I use. And the other thing that I try to remember when I'm up here is that no matter what happens, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that leads into staying positive. I had a great week last week, and I'm thinking, okay, I've been paying off for my funeral for about 20 years now. It's something a lot of people don't think about, but it's something that I thought about when I was in the military. Because it's not something I wanted my family to have to deal with in case anything should happen. Well, back then it was about $1,200. So when I started looking into it again, it's $3,500 now. So I'm figuring I had a great week last week. If I'm going to do some bad karma stuff this week, let me get this funeral thing out of the way. And I go, well, how's that going to affect me? So this morning, what happens? I get yelled at by a customer on my way to the meeting. My son is sick, so he's moving slow, and I'm thinking, man, everything that could go wrong before a speech that I'm giving about how to not be afraid when you're in front of a room, and the main area of the speech is to stay positive, and all these things that happen. And then I remembered that no matter what happens, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to get up, I'm going to do this speech no matter what. If I'm late or not, I'm still going to come through with it. I'm still going to get here, and I'm going to stay positive. So if I leave you with anything today, I want you to remember the ABCs. Remember your aiming point when you're talking. Remember your body movement. Remember to stay calm, cool, and collective. And remember to stay positive. Hopefully you can take these and use them in your speeches from now on, and remember, it's all going to be okay. Thank you.